Hey everyone, Mistik here. Welcome back to the Should You Buy series where I take a look at different items throughout Graal era. I rate each item based on its usefulness to the player, its rarity in game, and the demand it has with the player base. Afterwards, I discuss the price and history of the item and finally give my opinion on whether it's worth purchasing. My hope is at the end of the episode you'll be able to decide whether the item is for you or not. In today's episode, we're going to be taking a look at an item that has quite the controversial past, the giant Lollipop sword. Let's get into it. Starting out with usefulness, the giant Lollipop sword is actually pretty unique. When it first came out, it was actually the first tradable melee that could heal, with the next one released being the Rage Blade. Before we get into the heal though, I'd like to talk about how it is as a melee. The Lollipop sword deals 7 damage with a medium attack speed, so sadly this isn't anything special when considering its DPS. This little damage was actually quite surprising and makes the weapon nearly unusable for things such as crabs and other monsters. After a little bit of research, I actually realized it is the same damage stats as the free basic sword, and to me that's ridiculous for an auction item. As for its heal, this is probably something that needs to be changed. Currently, the Lollipop sword only heals 1 HP per heal, putting it in line with all the normal rares that heal, such as the Ice Wizard's staff. It makes absolutely no sense for an auction item to have such a low amount of heal and damage. It made sense back in the day when it was a unique skill, but in today's game this definitely needs a buff to remain usable. Lollipop sword can also be put on your back and it does look decent, however that cannot save it from a low rating of 3 out of 10 in usefulness. Moving on to rarity, this is probably Giant Lollipop's best category. For whatever reason, this item hasn't been auctioned a lot, generally only being sold every 4 to 6 auctions. Because of this, I estimate there is probably only around 10 of them in game. This is a very low total number for an item that is so old. That is why this item seems so rare within tables. I can usually only find 2 to 3 of them on a good day, which is much rarer than most items nowadays. Overall, I feel this deserves a solid 8 out of 10 in rarity. Next up is demand, and this category actually surprises me. When referring back to the usefulness section, we see that there really isn't a large upside to Giant Lollipop. However, I find a lot of people attempt to buy these and I generally get offers consistently throughout the day. I assume that this really just comes down to the rarity of the item and potentially the clean and simple look the item has to it. Now, this has always been an item with a large demand, especially back when it first came out. Back in 2014 when this item came out, it had the exact same name as the normal Lollipop sword. This, along with the fact that the item could actually block the icon on the table, made it a perfect scamming item and many players fell victim to it. This meant that a lot of people wanted to have one to use as a scamming item. These scams do still exist, but now the rare one says rare in brackets on the name, but I assume people still fall prey and for that reason people still want to own and use it. Overall though, Giant Lollipop gets another solid 8 out of 10 in the demand category. Moving on to price, Giant Lollipop has been fairly consistent. Moving all the way back to 2014 and 2015, this item sat near the 70 to 90k mark and has stayed there all the way up to the present. It did actually drop in 2018 to around 50k, but has since rebounded up to a current price of about 68 to 75k. I find that this item generally has a large price range because it is so rare and the price it is bought and sold for differs a lot from case to case. I personally don't see this item really rising or dropping anytime soon. This is because Lollipop sword doesn't really have any incentive to own, but its rarity seems to keep it at a relatively high price. However, if it was to be auctioned frequently, I'm sure we would see the price crash heavily. As for my opinion, it's going to be pretty short because I think this item is a really simple do not buy. The item is really clean and nice to own, however it really isn't worth the price. It cannot compete in any PvP setting, nor can it be used as a healing item as top tier healing items are not much more expensive. For instance, you could buy a Winter Staff for only 35k more and get triple the heals and a way better DPS. There just really isn't an upside to Giant Lollipop unless you are just obsessed with items that look good on your back. The only reason I could ever see it being worth it, as it is with any rare item, is for anybody who just loves collecting. Also, to add on that, I just don't see this item rising or dropping in the future either, so I don't think there would be any reason to even invest in one. Overall, I am pretty sure this is one of the worst items I have reviewed when we think about what you get for its price. For a large price tag of around 70k, you're getting the DPS of the free basic sword, as well as the healing you get from simply buying any healing item from tables for around 1000 shells. And with that, this is the end of the video. If you guys did enjoy, please smash that like button down below. As well, please comment what item you'd like to see next on the series. This series is for you guys, so I'm always up for reviewing the items you guys are interested in. And, of course, if you haven't already, please make sure you're subscribed as I keep everyone up to date on all Graal era news, updates, and items, and I know you guys wouldn't want to miss any of that. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.